we live between Las Vegas, L.A., and Phoenix, so we're kind of in this triangle of consistent air traffic right where I live here in Lake Havasu. And yeah, just like I said, over the last 16 years or so, I've had the fortuitousness to have been well, without getting into every single thing I've seen so far. I mean, I've got dozens of sightings of my own, but to kind of go back to where you were leading in with, we'll call him JJ. JJ is my friend out here, and he and I met originally through the local newspaper, and this is actually a pretty interesting story. I work in an office building. We have these great big huge windows looking south into the desert sky, and we get started really early in the morning, sunrise, and I walked into basically all of my office workers up against the window, the ones that had gotten there before me. I came in a couple minutes late, but
at least you're not being recorded at this moment.
Oh no, yeah. I don't think my boss will either. So everybody's up against the glass, and one of my coworkers was, just like, you got to check this out. Look at this thing. And they're looking at this through the glass. You could make out a spherical object that was kind of radiant, amber, glowing at a distance, and it did stand out as not a cloud and not a commercial aircraft, and it was staying still in the sky, and it was really large. We're facing the direction which Parker is about 40 miles away, and I would say that this object was between 30 and 35 miles away, and it was very sizable. So I immediately went outside. A couple of us went outside to get a better view, sans the glass we were looking through. And you could obviously tell it looked like the top of the Superdome, sort of hovering up in air. And then the dawn sunlight was coming up, and the amber glow from the sun, in my opinion, was reflecting off of the surface of this object. So we got pretty excited about it, and I just, it's not like I've gone to school for this or anything, but common sense, I lined it up with the palm tree that was up in the landscaping there at the office building, and I lined it up with a palm tree and noticed that this thing was moving in a sort of a classic 50s hovering hubcap, used as a spaceship. I mean, it really was just sort of hovering this way, and it was moving around. However, it was not, traveling yet. It didn't have a specific trajectory at this point.
So did you rule out a plane at this point? I mean, you're a smart guy. You've seen aircraft all the time. Yeah, this was not it. Yeah, this was not.
No, absolutely not a conventional craft. And then the movement, to me, once I lined it up and I noticed that it's behaving oddly for the size that it was, I ruled out, blimp, weather balloon. It was behaving as if it were on a small scale. Yet it was obviously gigantic. You could tell the distance from here to there atmospherically was disrupting the color. It was summertime, and the summer in the desert definitely cuts down your visibility when you talk distances. So,
and if you can estimate a size,
I would say I'm going to go with the Superdome. I mean, the thing was
that big.
It had to have been a football field in length.
Wow.
At least in my opinion. And it definitely had sort of a flat, bottom part and a more domed top. So. Once I kind of realized, this is definitely out of the ordinary. We kind of calmed down a little bit. People started going back in, and I was intrigued, and I stood there, and I just continued to watch it. I continued to kind of keep it lined up. Not long after everybody kind of gave up and went back in, an aircraft, a large aircraft, I would consider it to be the size of an airliner, a jet airliner, typical commercial airliner, was an immediate trajectory to this object at the same distance. This aircraft was flying directly to it, and I was totally just amazed by that. What
military or commercial?
That's a really good question. I can't answer.
Gotcha.
I mean, I don't.
Okay.
There's not enough identifiable information for me from that distance. There's no way I could tell, but I could see the contrail, and I could make out the general shape ahead of the contrail to verify. It was a standard aircraft traveling right towards this thing, and it got what I would assume to be between maybe a mile and 2 miles, maybe about a mile away from this object. The object shot away. It shot out of sight, and
just gone.
Gone. Absolutely, not up, not down and left or right in my view, but away. So it would have shot dead south, due south, not gaining any altitude that I could tell, but it was instantaneously gone.
Your coworker still with you at this point?
Unfortunately, I was the only one that saw that.
No, I gotcha.
I stayed and I watched, and immediately when I saw that other airliner come into view, I was intrigued, and I was like, I just want to see what this is going to be all about. And so it shot off out of view, and the airliner or the military jet, whatever it was, kind of continued along its course. And I was pretty excited about that, so I went inside and I told one of my coworkers who was most excited about it. Everybody else had pretty much settled down, and I really wasn't, going to go in there yelling and screaming with my hair on fire. I just, well, as you can see, it wouldn't have done any good anyway. So I walked in and I walked up to him and I said, "Man, you're not going to believe this. That thing just shot off like a rocket as soon as the airliner was coming through." He was excited. He was like, "Really?" And so we went back outside, and we're kind of looking around. And if you know anything, I mentioned, we are between L.A., Vegas, and Phoenix. Our air traffic, besides our local air traffic, the small planes, we don't have a major airport here, is very consistent. I mean, where we see, at any given time, I'll see a dozen commercial airliners flying from L.A. to Phoenix. I can go right outside right now anytime. I grew up here. I've been here 27 years. I can tell you exactly where they fly, what lines that you could see a flight between LA and Phoenix. I mean, anytime. It's very clear. It's never mix and match. Maybe when there's adverse weather conditions, they'll kind of go a mile this way or a mile that way. But I mean, it's very consistent. We got back outside and we noticed 4 other additional aircraft. I would have to say military aircraft because they were between 10 and 15,000 feet, which is a big deal here.
Yeah,
they're only ever 35,000 feet. They have absolutely no reason to be that low. These aircraft that were following a trajectory of west to east, not too far-fetched, but they were about 4 or 5 miles apart, and then we had another set. This was the interesting part. Anybody from this location can tell you maybe one time they've ever seen a jet airliner or a jet aircraft or even a military craft flying north to south. I mean, that's a big deal around here. Nothing flies north to south in this area except the very small aircraft.
Now, why not? Why wouldn't they? Why is that a big deal?
Well, because due south is Tijuana.
Oh.
I mean, there's
the other country and all.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's nothing due south.
Okay.
If you look at Lake Havasu City on a map, and then you look at the main Air Force bases, main airports, there's nothing going on north to south over this town.
Okay.
And so we never see it. We never see that kind of activity. We look up and we see these 2 other aircraft simultaneously and trailing right behind, timing-wise, crisscrossing the sky.
Wow.
Heading due south right to what I can say is the location of this object. This is all occurring within 20 minutes. Something directed these craft to behave in the air in a way we've never seen. I've never seen it since. I've never seen aircraft behave this way.
Now help me. Well, very quickly. When was this? What year?
This would have been 2007.
2007. So are you saying that these objects were engaging this UFO, whatever this UFO might have been? Were they engaging? Were they fighting? Were they playing with it?
The first one engaged with it. I believe that the object moved and accelerated out of sight as a direct result of this craft approaching.
Okay.
There's no other way to describe what happened. Here you have a craft maintaining a consistent altitude, not moving forward or backward in any way that I could tell. That immediately reacts when this airliner or military craft approached, and then it shot out of view. So that was direct contact. Not direct contact. Excuse me. That was an event as a direct result. That this craft must have seen this thing. There's no way in my mind that they could have missed that. And then the other 4 craft that followed, and then my coworker can confirm with me as well. It would be another 3 that we ended up seeing minutes later. They were just crisscrossing through the sky, and it was an unbelievable sight. The contrails that were left behind of this activity just crisscrossed there. It looked like a checkerboard.
Wow.
So they were looking, searching,
engaging. I mean, I say, you know what? I don't want to put words in your mouth, and forgive me. I didn't mean that, but what it sounds like is you've got this object, you've got another one coming in, right? And it gets X amount of distance away, and then boom, this thing's gone. It just shoots out of sight. Then, you said what? About 20 minutes later, you see these multiple aircraft, which you assume are military, and crisscrossing in the sky, either looking for or. I mean, to me, that's amazing. Whatever that UFO might have been. Now, let me ask you this: did anything happen after that?
Not immediately after that. No.
So that particular sighting or event was that was it.
Yeah, that was it. That was now. Earlier that morning, some of the women that were driving to work, they have to go through a certain section of town. This particular group said that they saw something orange and glowing immediately over our golf course. There's a really big golf course basically in the center of our town, and at that time it was dark, early in the morning hours, and 3 women that were driving along this road all came in and said, "Did you see that thing hovering over the golf course?" It was some kind of an orange object. However, what they described was smaller. It was disc-shaped. I didn't get any other details.
But this was at the same time that you saw.
This was the same day.
Wow.
It was the same day. And I would say that the events were about an hour apart. You have this small sort of sighting, this small group of women that sighted this object over the golf course, described it as smaller than an airplane, but still relevant to them. That it was odd and that it didn't make a lot of sense to them.
This is what was fascinating to me doing UFO Hunters and meeting you for the first time, and I feel very lucky and blessed that I did, because I've learned so much from you and what you've seen, but you're very level-headed about this whole thing. I mean, you don't just say, "Hey, this is alien spacecraft. This is it." And forgive me again. I didn't mean to put words into your mouth about these objects or military craft engaging the UFO. But that's what I respect about you, is you're seeing these objects, and you just, in my opinion, from what I'm hearing from you, is that you don't know what they are. But what's also fascinating about that area is that you're not the only one seeing them. We don't have to take your word for it. And I did a quick Google search actually while you were talking, and you see that UFOs are not entirely uncommon in that area. Am I accurate in saying that? Is that true?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, you're right on the money. I mean, we're our location is really just pretty amazing. I mean, we and our community is amazing. We are constantly, as a whole, we're after the city for light pollution. I mean, every neighborhood in this